obviously marketing is always going to exist. People are going to need to promote products to different generations. But I do also think they have it tough, but that's more kind of their place in the world right now and how they view the world. And stuff like that is very different, and you see it in the workplace as well. You know, it affects me not just in the I've got to understand it from a marketing strategy point of view, but I have Gen Zs who work for me, and you know the way they see things and their expectations of an employer is extremely different to a millennial or Gen Y or anyone beyond that. So you know, we all have to actually take some time to get to know them and to understand that we can't treat everyone the same. We have to understand what those differences are, why they exist, and work with them.
Welcome to the e-commerce podcast with me, your host, Matt Edmondson. This show is all about helping you deliver e-commerce wow. And to do that, we are talking to the wonderful Claire Daniels today about how to market to the new Gen Z. Oh yes, we're going to get into all of that with Claire, who is actually, Claire, it's fair to say, this is the second podcast you and I have recorded together. So it's like we're kind of old hats at this now, right?
Yeah, old friends.
So yes, well, it's great to have you on the show. It's great to have you on the e-commerce podcast, where we get to talk about all things e-commerce. Last time we were on the Push podcast talking about all things leadership and life. Now we're talking about e-commerce, getting into your toolbox, as it were. But before we do that, let me, ladies and gentlemen, tell you a little bit about e-commerce cohort. E-commerce cohort is the sponsor of today's show. There's been a bit of an overhaul to e-commerce cohort recently, so if you've not checked it out, do check it out, ecommercecohort.com. A monthly membership group for all you fine e-commerce folks. Do come and join us in that. It is growing, it is expanding, it is doing some great stuff, and prices I think start now from $14.99 a month, which is cheap as chips. As we like to say here in the UK, or I think it's like $18 if you're outside of the UK. But do come along, do come join us. Check it out, ecommercecohort.com. Now, Claire, let me read your bio here. It says that you, I love the bio. Claire Daniels is the rockstar CEO, and I'm expecting some music later. Rockstar CEO of Trio Media, a Leeds-based digital marketing powerhouse that's all about shaking up the status quo for brands on the rise, with a toolkit that includes everything from SEO wizardry to social media sorcery. Trio is your go-to for marketing magic. It's just awesome. Before taking the reins at Trio in 2018, Claire was a strategic marketing guru, leading tech teams like a true boss. Oh yes, Claire, great to have you on this podcast. Thank you for joining me. How are we doing?
Thanks, Matt. I'm doing great, thank you. And I should probably add, I didn't write that bio, so I appreciate what your team have done there with what they gave, what we gave you, because I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it used to be, and to be fair, we still do this on occasions. People would give us bios and we'd just read them out. It depends how busy we are. But Sadaf has taken recently to rewriting guest bios to be a little bit more fun and frivolous. And I'm quite enjoying reading them. And I don't read the bios until we actually do the podcast recording. So it was the first time I'd seen it, and I just smile every time. It's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. So we are talking about marketing to Gen Z, or Gen Z, I suppose, if you're outside of the UK, right? And let's get into that. Let's jump into it. So how did you get involved in marketing to this particular niche clientele?
Well, for us, ultimately, as a marketing agency, we're working with businesses in a whole range of industries. We're using data to produce strategies and look at what's going to work for our clients, and also using platforms that become favoured by some audiences over others. And being in the digital marketing space, obviously TikTok has massively, over the past 2 to 3 years, taken a huge chunk of the social media pie. And predominantly that is made up from people within the Gen Z demographic, not solely, you know, and we really encourage people with target audiences outside of that age bracket that TikTok is definitely still for them as a marketing platform. but it led us to really look at what is it that is different about Gen Z from previous generations and what makes them tick with marketing, because there are quite a lot of changes now. You know, there really has been a shift in consumer expectations, the way technology and social media and all of that is used. So we just kind of doubled down on that, both with helping our clients, but also trying to help and educate other people by using data platforms that we have available to us to really look at the insights and help produce strategies that are really nailed on for what it is that is important to Gen Z.
Fantastic. Well, let's before we jump into it, let's define. Mainly, if my wife is listening, let's define what Gen Z means, because I think we're all getting confused. The Gen Z, millennials. Yes. I know I'm a Gen X. That's as much as I can show my age now. But so, how do we define what Gen Z is?
So Gen Z came after millennials. So I don't like that I'm a millennial, but apparently I am one. But Gen Z is typically anyone born between like the late 1990s up to early 2010s. So aged between around 11 to 26, kind of push, you know, anyone younger than 30. And certainly when we're looking at anyone that can be influenced or make purchasing decisions, that kind of 16 to 30 bracket. Mm-hmm. And some of the characteristics of that generation, you know, they're known for growing up with technology. Whereas, you know, I think for myself, technology happened as we were growing up, but it wasn't part of us in the same way it is now for the younger generation. And so they are extremely fluent with digital media, with technology, and also the access to information they have. So they take on much more global perspectives. And there's certain issues that they are more concerned about, like social justice and diversity. And a lot of this feeds off that access to non-stop communication, social media that brings awareness to certain topics.
Very good. And so it is fascinating, actually, this idea of growing up in an environment, not just with technology, but with the technology that is currently available. So social media is probably the big one, isn't it, really? I remember when I was at university getting my first ever email address. Right. This is so I did not grow up with any form of tech whatsoever. I was like, how old was I? Maybe 22, 23 before I got my first mobile phone. So it was all, and when I say mobile phone, I mean a mobile brick. They weren't what they are now. And so it totally passed me by. Now my kids, who would be Gen Z, have grown up in a very different environment. They were using iPads it was almost like they came out of the womb knowing how to swipe left, swipe right, and do you know what I mean? Do all that sort of stuff. And they've grown up in a very different environment. So they use technology, I think, in a very different way. I try very hard to keep up, Claire, I'm not going to lie, but my kids just way out there. I have no idea. And so I find it a really interesting group of people because they have been totally influenced by this whole thing. Interestingly, just as a total aside, this is just me having a bit of a moan. I told my son the other day, who's trying to do a few things, I'm like, why don't you just call that person and have a conversation with them? And I talked to him later. I think he's trying to organise accommodation for university. I'm like, just call them up and see what they say. Here's the number. I even gave him the phone number to call. Later, did you call them? No, I emailed them. Why didn't you call them? Go away. Have you called? No, I text them. It's like, do you know what I mean? It's funny, isn't it? Because I grew up in a world when a telephone was tethered to a wall and you had a really long cord. You know, and try and hide. You'd sit in the downstairs toilet trying to hide the conversation.
Dial thing as well, where you like do like dial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rotary does. There's going to be people listening to this show going, Matt, I'm totally with you. And then there's going to be people listening to this show going, Rotary dial, what the heck are you talking about? Why would you have a phone put on a wall? I don't get it.
Honestly, it amazes me how much has changed in such a short period of time. And I think, especially for the Gen Z audience, add to that their experience through COVID, like what you just said about your son not ringing someone, that like human interaction is not even first nature to them. Digital interaction is what is their native language that they're always used to, and then human face to face, anything a bit more personal is difficult. And I think, not that I'm going to get into this heavily, but it's then linked with the rise in mental health issues, so much more prevalent in that audience. But all of this, I believe, is intrinsically linked with the way that technology has just become so much part of their life that it is like first. And interestingly, when I was in the car with some of my colleagues one day, we were driving to an event where I was going to be giving this presentation, and we were talking all about Gen Zs, and then we just ended up being like, oh, they're screwed, and then it's like, oh, but here we are, how to market to them. But I think ultimately we've got to understand them and what makes them tick. Obviously, marketing is always going to exist. People are going to need to promote products to different generations. But I do also think they have it tough, but that's more kind of their place in the world right now and how they view the world. And stuff like that is very different. And you see it in the workplace as well. It affects me not just in I've got to understand it from a marketing strategy point of view, but I have Gen Zs who work for me, and the way they see things and their expectations of an employer is extremely different to a millennial or Gen Y or anyone beyond that. So, we all have to actually take some time to get to know them and to understand that we can't treat everyone the same, and we have to understand what those differences are, why they exist, and work with them.
Yeah, that's a very valid point, because I think it's certainly very easy for people of a certain age, mainly myself, to just complain, because it is a very different generation, certainly to the Gen X generation that I'm part of. And some of the things that we complain about are valid, and some of them are not valid. But the bottom line is, they have Gen Z, a bit like millennials, grew up in a very different way to the way I grew up. And you have to get your head around the fact that people think differently and work differently. Like you're saying, we've got to get into that understanding if we're going to effectively market to them. So that's a really valid point. So some of the things that you said that earmark this generation, they've got a global perspective, social justice, diversity. Obviously, social media has impacted them on a massive way in all of those things. They've had their experience through COVID. Human interaction is not their first interaction. Digital is. And obviously the mental health is a bigger issue in the Gen Z than it is, say, in previous generations. There's a lot going on there. And so where do you start with all of that?
Well, it's about, any marketing is always about understanding the customer first, what is going to be important to these people. I mean, an exercise that we always do with new clients is our kind of own exercise we've created called Top 20 Reasons. And we go through 5 reasons people buy from you, 5 reasons they don't, 5 reasons people come back, and 5 reasons they don't return. So it takes away, we never just say to someone, oh, well, what are your USPs, or what is it that you offer? It's like, what are the actual reasons that are important to people that make them buy from you, so that you really get under the skin of the target audience. So we would recommend doing something like that. So really getting to know, who are these people? What do they value? What's important to them? And the reason why we do that is so that through our marketing, we can address any of the objections. The reasons people don't buy may not be, in your mind, a valid reason for them not to buy, but it is the reason they don't buy. And actually that could have been handled through more effective marketing, or equally the reasons why people do buy from you, making sure that message is really front and center. So, if it's a brand that actually is very socially conscious, a lot of people buy into that. Say, for example, Patagonia, you know, like, is it because they're creating groundbreaking clothes with some patterned fleeces, you know, and stuff like that are popular? Well, not really, but actually their morals, ethics, values as a business is what makes people want to buy into that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of understanding what is meaningful to people and then lean into that and talk about it. So that's really important. And so you may address these challenges through your content, through imagery. You know, for example, we spoke about one of the points there is diversity. So actually, if diversity is important, and also, I don't know the stats on this, but I would imagine that openly out people within the LGBTQIA plus and anyone I may have excluded there community, I imagine there's a lot more of that in the Gen Z demographic.
Yeah.
So, you know, if that is your target audience, you probably need to be a lot more open to embracing that, demonstrating that through your marketing, and that you're on board and you're inclusive, you know, in any type of diversity, whether it is gender or race or beliefs, anything else, than a brand if they're selling stair lifts. You know, they probably don't need to show that quite so much. So it's understanding that and then showing it. I mean, besides those points that we just discussed, I actually have some data that we could dive into if you want. So
Sure.
we use a platform called GWI, Global Web Index, and it's got over 40,000 different data points that you can put in different age groups, etc., and find out all sorts about them. So we've pulled off some stats about Gen Zs. So I've got, how do they interact with brands? What are their favorite social media platforms? How do Gen Zs discover new brands and stuff like that we dive into? And then also what you can do with that information. So shall I jump into that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Loving this. I'm making lots of notes, Claire.
Yeah, good. People are going to be learning today. So in terms of the top 5 things that are voted for, there's a really long list, but in how Gen Zs interact with brands. The number one thing is I use discount codes or coupons. Then I research a product online before buying it. I spend the time looking for the best deals. I am loyal to the brands I like. I tell my friends and family about new products. So we've got a few themes there. Theme around price and being price conscious. A theme around actually being quite bought into something, so much so that you're loyal and you would recommend it to others. And then also making sure that you do your research before making a decision, which is quite interesting. Then what are Gen Z's favorite social media platforms? So TikTok is the top one. So that's 48.8% of Gen Z said TikTok was their favorite platform. That's out of 19 million people surveyed. Then Instagram, then Snapchat, and then WhatsApp. And this data, for example, has been hugely important for us because like we're working on a campaign at the moment with a tech company who have a platform that is for teachers. But obviously the teacher age group is quite wide, and we're working with them on social media campaign, both organic and paid. And we used this platform to go, okay, teachers, what's their favorite social media platform? And Facebook then went to number one because this is taking any age group.
Okay.
Then what we did was broke down teachers by age groups. So we found that actually we've got a really strong category of teachers, you know, that 30 or less, you know, so they're just coming out of university, they're just starting out in teaching, and they all voted TikTok as their most popular platform.
Wow.
So it helps us when we understand those audiences, you know, in the smaller segments to go, well, we need a strategy for TikTok for these type of people, but then we also need a strategy for Facebook, and those strategies are then going to be really different. So knowing what their favorite platform is, you can then start to think about, okay, so where am I going to go spend time promoting what it is that we have through that audience? Also, as well, like Snapchat being on there is an interesting one. Like we were working with a university, and they were wanting to get in front of prospective students, and we then went forward with a idea around doing Snapchat ads as well and getting Snapchat content in front of
Yeah.
that graphic. Whereas, without the data really leading you in the right direction, you may just kind of always end up with okay, if we're doing social, it's going to be on Meta, we'll cover Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
But actually it's about really being able to be specific about what platforms those audiences are using. And even so, we've had people come in and do work experience here, all kind of between the ages of 18 to 21.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, I use WhatsApp. I use WhatsApp to talk to my family because my family's all old and that's what they use. But they don't use WhatsApp to talk to each other. They use Snapchat to talk to each other or Instagram to talk to each other. I was away somewhere recently with a colleague, and we were talking to some people, and someone said, oh, can I have your Instagram? And they exchanged Instagrams. I said, you do know that's the equivalent of someone asking for your number these days, which she had no idea because it's just innocent. But that probably goes back to that point about your son as well. What good is having someone's number because they don't want to talk on the phone? They get your Instagram and they DM you.
Yeah.
So really,
yeah, they do. It's really interesting. And my daughter, and the reason I'm laughing is because my daughter has WhatsApp. The only group she's in are the family channels because we're all old, obviously. And she was texting her mate the other day, and she showed me the text. I'm like, what text thing is this? And she went, oh, it's Snapchat. I was like, okay, of course it is. Yeah, why would it not be? So it's totally right. It's fascinating. Yeah, this is what I mean. If you're like me, you kind of think, man, I just got my head around Instagram, and yet there's all I've now got to figure out all these other things.
Well, a lot of people are going, finally coming to terms with having to use TikTok, and then Threads arrived, and then Twitter changed to X, and then there's all sort of, there's Be Real and all this type of stuff. But TikTok for us is definitely the kind of lead platform for this generation because it does have the most people.
It does. It's massive. It's interesting you talk about that because when Threads came out, I was like, well, okay, I'll go get my Threads account because why would you not, right? And I've used it twice and I've never used it since. And so that there's going to be these things which sort of come and go, a bit like, what was the other one that came and went? Clubhouse, with the, that was another famous one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Instagram seems to have stuck around. Obviously, Meta is Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook. TikTok seems to have come on the scene and sort of hung around. My one reservation about TikTok at the moment is I'm not sure how America is going to respond to TikTok in the future because obviously, as things currently stand, it's owned by China pretty much, isn't it, TikTok?
Yeah.
And so I'm just not sure how long it will be because I know that there's been rumors, but whether it actually happens or not, I don't know, about whether certain states, whether the whole of the states is just going to ban TikTok and then that's just going to kill the platform. I don't know. But as things currently stand, obviously it's a super popular platform, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, we shouldn't let any of that stop us from right now, that's where people are. And, I think there has been rumors about that for a long time and nothing's happened. And I think it has such a strong foothold that actually I would be surprised if something did change because of the amount of time people spend on the platform. I think as well, the way TikTok differs, they themselves, I did refer to them as a social media platform earlier, but they would say we're not a social media platform. We are a entertainment platform. That's how they position themselves. You should come here to be entertained, spend a lot of time. It's not the first place you would go if you want to talk to someone. And so it differs with that. And, I don't know whether there'll be any kind of censorship that will start coming around, but yeah, I think for now, it's where people are at. Let's
embrace it. Yeah, join in. What do you think? Why do you think TikTok has resonated then with Gen Z specifically? Especially if you've got a lot of Gen Zs. I suppose you've got a lot of Western Gen Zs who are very globally aware and globally conscious, and you've got obviously nations like China, which is love it or hate it, right? There's pros and cons to China as a nation and what they're doing. But you've got Gen Zs, like my daughter, my kids are very aware of China, very aware of human rights records and all this sort of stuff. So on one hand, they know that this is a Chinese platform, but on the other hand, they've sort of flocked to it. So I'm kind of curious why that just seems like an interesting juxtaposition to me, to use a fancy
Everyone
word.
knows iPhones are made in China, but everyone wants an iPhone. So I think you accept it if actually, well, that's what I want, it's where I want to be. So it's almost a necessary evil that you accept, isn't it? Really interesting question about why I think Gen Zs are drawn to it. And it made me think, so I remember, honestly, it must have been 14, 15 years ago, going to a conference about digital marketing, and someone saying if the internet was recreated kind of today and kind of future from that time, it would be video first. And I couldn't get my head around it. I couldn't picture, well, what do you mean the internet is just video? Because just thinking of like flat, static web pages, how would the whole web be video? But that's the kind of rationale of this is the direction that it would go. And then here we have TikTok. You can't not play, like you open it and video is playing, like whether you like it or not, it is just intrinsically video. As you said about your children, it's like they come out of the womb knowing about swiping. Everything about the way that platform has been built feeds into the way this generation we've created now expect to react online with a device. Short attention span, short bits of content, swipeable content. It's very clever in being able to very quickly learn what you're interested in, show you more of that to keep you there. I don't know if you could tell by the way I'm talking about it, but I am very much hooked on TikTok as well. Like I go on TikTok before I go to bed. That's it. I've lost an hour of my life because it keeps you on there.
It sucks you in, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily that there's even a conscious decision about this is the platform for me. It's just you go on and an hour later you're still there, and then all of a sudden going on the next day. Because TikTok, before being TikTok, was an app called Musical.ly. It was very much just about the like lip syncing and dance moves and stuff like that. It was only about you can access music and do these specific things. And it didn't take off in the same way. So, when TikTok first started getting big in the past couple of years, everyone's gone, well, it's just a platform for lip syncing and dancing. It's like, well, actually, it's not, because it's been around as that for about 10 years. And that was quite niche. Whereas, that's its heritage and a lot of people are still doing that. But the potential of what it had and how much more it could do is what has made it grow because of the algorithm and the way it links, and obviously we'll get into some of this as well, but TikTok Shop, all of this stuff being able to be on there, like you can see a very short video of someone influencing you can click and you can check out and buy it without ever leaving TikTok. Like in the office every week, it's like, oh, here's my latest TikTok purchase, I was influenced, and all the Gen Zs buying things off TikTok. So from that perspective, this is why it's an amazing platform for brands, because it's almost like you don't know it's happening to you, and you're just being marketed to. One of the things, when I first put this presentation together, it was for a specific event, and the previous presentation that I had been doing at the same series of events before I did the Gen Z piece was around conversion rate optimization. And one of the platforms I spoke about was Amazon, of, look at how easy it is to check out. And, do you think they were struggling to make money before they brought in the one-click checkout? They weren't. They were making multi-billions, billions, whatever it is anyway. but they brought in the one-click checkout and they made even more money because it took away thinking time. You know, I can't even consider, is this a good idea, because I've already bought it, you know. So it's the same thing of this, everything being one click away, like so easy, so quick that it's just there. And that's the opportunity for marketers, advertisers, is to be able to put stuff on platforms like this, that generation, and they just buy it, you know, without them really having to consider much else.
Really powerful stuff. Well, let's dig into it then. I'm just going to pull a random thing on my desk. For some reason, I have a torch. Not very Gen Z, to be fair, because they've all torches on the phones now. But how would I think about marketing then on TikTok? Say something like, or pick any product you like, Claire, if this is a bit random. But what are some of the things that I need to think about when approaching this platform?
So the content is going to be the main thing. You know, you can't go, oh, if I get on TikTok, then just naturally, because the audience is there, they're going to buy from me. Because if you don't create the type of content that they resonate with, that they want to see, it will fall flat. So a term people may or may not have heard of, UGC, which stands for user generated content. This is really, really big on TikTok. And certainly for anyone that spends any time on TikTok, they will have noticed, because I definitely have, a convergence towards pretty much all ads are UGC. So it's another user on TikTok. It doesn't have to be an influencer. You know, it can just be someone who has created their own TikTok video about your product, and you take their video and you use that as an ad. That is a really powerful way to get people to buy, because you are not creating some polished sales video trying to tell people you know, what to do or whatever else. It's just, it creates demand, because it's like, this other person, they look like me, they sound like me, whatever it may be, and they're telling me I should have this, so, you know, I want it as well. And you will just see tons of ads like that. But the good thing is, because actually when I was telling this to someone else, they were like, well, no, I don't see any ads. And I'm like, this is one of the other benefits of TikTok. The ad content is so native to the platform, you really don't know that it's an ad. So especially when you are looking at that user-generated content, or even if you're not doing UGC, anything super authentic, not polished, very real, anything like that is going to work really well. So I would rather, if someone had a product to sell, just say to them, you need to just get in front of the camera yourself and just talk through why you created it and why it's good, and show it, package it, all these type of things, instead of, oh, we're going to create this, we've got this idea and we're going to create this, you know, fancy little mini advert, whatever. It's just, TikTok isn't the place for that. TikTok, it will only work if it looks native. Like I say, the native stuff is people creating their own content on there. So if you've got a product to sell, that's definitely going to be you'll get the best success on TikTok, because you can link it up with TikTok Shop. You don't have to, but it is a benefit to do that. So you link it up with TikTok Shop. People can just buy on TikTok, like I say. They don't even have to leave the platform. Any details they signed up with are going to auto-populate. If you've got Apple Pay, anything like that, that's all going to integrate as well. So you can check out really, really easily. But even if you don't have a product to sell, you know, you can link off. I mentioned about university, link off to a page to sign up or find out, download the prospectus or whatever it may be. So you can still do anything like that with ads as well. And obviously a lot of what I've said there is around ads, and people probably go, oh, it's maybe not the first thing they thought about on TikTok. They think it's just about the content creation and going viral and stuff like that, which, yes, that's nice, but creating the recipe for going viral is so difficult. And, you know, people should get away from thinking about that and instead typically most businesses we talk to, ultimately the thing they're going to measure success on is sales. So we're going to give them a strategy that will get them sales. So that is going to include an advertising strategy. But we do work with some brands just creating organic content for TikTok as well. So we work with Green Chef, who's part of the HelloFresh group. It's all their like vegan, vegetarian stuff, and we just film making meals and sharing the finished meal. And regularly those videos get in excess of 2 million views per video, because it's just giving people what they want. They want to see something satisfying, something that looks real, and it's all filmed on a smartphone. There's no studio production and all of this, because it's what looks right and works for the platform.
Fantastic.
So getting the content right and then pairing that with an advertising strategy is what's really going to help drive growth and sales if you're using TikTok to target your audience.
Well, there's a lot there. I'm definitely going to check. Was it Green Chef? I'm going to go check it out and have a look at some of that, because I see they're the kind of, if I'm on TikTok and I limit myself to TikTok because, like you, I just get sucked into this universe. They're the kind of things that I see, the sort of the 15-second videos where someone goes, chops an onion, throws it in a frying pan, you hear the sizzle. So you've got the sound effects now are a big thing as well, aren't they? You've got all of that. 15 seconds later, you've got a big dish or whatever it is, and you're like, wow, I can. And then if I want to, I can dig in and find out a little bit more about it. I guess I can see how that would work for Green Chef. If I go back to my torch example, because I'm just kind of curious, the things in my head then are unboxing videos would be quite good.
Yes.
Just messing around at night, I suppose, showing how bright it is would be quite good. Dropping it from a building and it not smashing because it's in its aluminium case would be all those kind of things, isn't it? That's the kind of thing you're talking about. It's not a presentation going, right, 3 reasons why this torch will outshine your competition. Reason number 1, because no one's going to watch that, right? It's not the old sort of sales, long form sales, but it is very much 17 seconds, just bang, get it out there. And recording that on your smartphone, being super casual about it, not looking for the high production value. Yeah, I mean, you say that there has to be, well, let me not make that a statement. Let me make it a question. Does there have to be at least some form of production value? Because I see a lot of these things that look like they have no production value, but then I sit and think about someone thought long and hard about how to put that. That was not an accident. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. When I'm saying doesn't have to be kind of super polished, it's in my mind, I'm going, you don't have to have a film crew. It doesn't have to be filmed on a high spec camera, but you definitely have to think about what you're doing, have a creative idea. I mean, you've just reeled off a number of creative ideas there, obviously, for your torch. Not everyone is naturally so creative that they could think of those, but it's giving people that idea of, it doesn't have to be hard. Like a torch is really boring, and you've just thought of loads of fun ways to show it, and that's what TikTok's all about. The beauty of TikTok as well for brand is, unlike any other social media platform, the assets they make available to brands are unbelievable. So you can go into TikTok Creative Center and you could search for a torch and it will show you all the best performing videos to do with torches. It can show you everything that's trending right now, trending influencers, trending hashtags, trending songs, trending video styles that you can copy, so you don't have to be a creative to be able to actually start compiling a strategy of the type of content that you should create. But then, yes, equally, as much as I'm saying super easy, you just pick up your phone and film it. If it's really poor quality video, if the audio is muffled, anything like that, that's not going to work as well. It definitely needs to be to a certain standard of production, but it just doesn't have to be, what I would have considered 5 or 6 years ago. If I was like, my company needs a video, what I was going to have to invest to get one video production that would go into it. Whereas now, the challenge we have is, well, we need to charge X for how much we're going to film, but actually the outcome is the client gets 4 15-second videos, so how much do they want to pay for that?
Yeah.
So it just does come to, it doesn't have to be a super resource heavy investment to get something, that's worth you on there.
So if I'm say, I've got my torch, I'm sold into TikTok, I've got a few ideas of things that I'm going to film. Is it a case of 4 videos is fine, or is it a case of I have to do 4 videos a week and just constantly, like the old blog posts, you couldn't just write one, you had to just keep churning them out. I say old blog posts because people still do them, but do you know what I mean? It's that kind. Is there a consistency thing that I need to think about with TikTok?
Consistency is absolutely the right word. So TikTok themselves say that to grow your channel, you should post at least 3 times a day.
Oh, wow.
Now, I take that with a massive pinch of salt, and we don't advise that to anyone because that's just so out of reach for so many people. I think that works if you are a person, an influencer who wants to grow a channel and you can invest all your personal time in it. But for a brand or a business, I think it's that quite often unachievable. But what we have seen is the key is consistency. If you post once a week, make sure you post once a week. If you post once a week, then you have 3 weeks off. What you'll find is the week you come back, you probably won't get seen as much as you were getting seen when you were posting consistently every week. So you definitely do have to commit to a kind of plan with it and make sure that you stick to that. And then there's also certain things around the advertising side as well. You can't just produce one piece of collateral and that's your ad and that will just run. Your ads need to have constant new content added as well. TikTok may serve anywhere between like 3 to 7 different pieces of content for your ads at a time. So if someone's seen one of your ads, they may then show them another one to try convert them. And they want you to kind of refresh it at least every week. So that's more of a consideration if you're doing an ad, to make sure you've got several pieces of content that can be used for part of that. But that's very easy. You could take exactly the same content and just re-edit it and put it in different order. There's lots of ways you can do that without going, does that mean I have to have X amount of different creative ideas? No, you just have to have different videos. So there's ways of managing it all.
Yeah, no, very, very fair point. And in fact, did a podcast with Amelia Coombe. Dear listener, if you want to check out more on that strategy that Claire just mentioned, Amelia digs into that a little bit. So I'm obviously having to, if I'm invested in TikTok, I've got to be in it. I can't just dip my toe. I've got to put a mixture of organic content out there, add specific content, and somehow make all of this work. Just dig into, you mentioned the TikTok Creative Center. Just dig into what that is a little bit for people that might not know. And is it something that you have to, do a secret handshake to get into?
No, absolutely not. If you've got a business account, you can get into there. You can also, there's lots of things to know with TikTok. So typically, brands may prefer to have a personal account rather than a business account because the access to music is limited on a business account. However, a business account is going to give you the features like TikTok Shop and advertising. So there's pros and cons that you may want to weigh up, and you can change at different times. So you may prefer, if you're going down more of an organic strategy initially, to keep your profile personal because you're able to jump on a lot more trends with having the full library of videos and music available to you. But then when you want the business features, you may go that in direction. You can also advertise on TikTok and have a business account without having a TikTok page with content on. We would always recommend that you do have that, but you can get started with a business account without needing to set up a profile. So a few things there to consider. But if you've got a business account, you can log into the Creative Center. So I've just opened it up in front of me, just talking through it. So this section called Inspiration, you can look at the top ads, and all of that can be filtered by country, by date, lots of different filters to make it specific to you so you can see what's performing well. So we always look at that if we're starting a new ad strategy for a client. Again, as I said earlier, like we were looking at data, we aim to take the guesswork out of anything. Like, we're pretty sure we know what works, but let's look at the data. So whilst we have some amazing ideas, well, let's see what ads have been performing well. So you can have a look through all of that. You can look at keyword insights. So we are seeing that TikTok is growing as a search platform as well, and it's getting a lot more linked with SEO and search results. So you can have a look at keywords and hashtags and what is performing well, what you should get on board with. You can look for creative ideas, top selling products. Then in terms of what's trending, you can look at trending hashtags, trending songs, trending creators, trending TikTok videos. You can download trend reports that give you different perspectives on things. You can also create videos in Creative Center. It's got a lot of creative tools, video editor, templates as well. You can download creative strategies in there. It's so worth anyone who is already using TikTok but doesn't know how to use it properly for their marketing efforts, or is thinking of getting involved, just go and spend some time on Creative Center. Like, it's honestly brilliant, the access to resources that they give you. And also probably worth mentioning, because seeing as this chat is about Gen Z, not just about TikTok, when we were doing the piece on Snapchat had very similar. So if you sign up for a Snapchat business account, they have a great Creative Center, and you can get a lot of insights similar to what we could go and pull off GWI. We could go look on Snapchat and it'll tell us, right, if we want to look at an audience between this age range, what are their interests? What type of content do they engage with? All of this stuff. So you can start getting a really clear idea and shaping your marketing strategy around content that is really readily available to you. So for TikTok, in their top 10 interests, we can filter that down specific to Gen Z. So the number one interest in TikTok content for Gen Zs is gaming. So gaming's first, then food, and then kind of within the top 10 as well, you've got things like fitness and wellness content, skincare, lots of gaming stuff actually, and lots of skincare stuff, and food and drink. So you can start seeing what it is that they're already doing, and then that's what I need to go and create and produce.
Wow, that's awesome. Top advice there. How long do you think it would take for someone who's never really done TikTok, never really done Snapchat, but goes, actually a big chunk of my audience is Gen Z, I need to go get my head around this? How much time investment do you think is involved in learning about these two platforms? Is it a case of you'll pick it up in an hour? Is it a case of you got to set aside a month in your diary, mate?
I don't think that much time. I think, because if you go and just actually study the resources, study the platform, I do think it would be beneficial if you have someone within the demographic. If you want to use it because you want to target Gen Z, speak to your Gen Z people. They'll tell you how they're using that platform, what they like, don't like. If you don't have access to the data that we have, you can still find out, how are you interacting with brands on there, and maybe we should do that. So a couple of days would probably be sufficient to give yourself time to look through the resources and get to know it. And then it's just about building out a strategy to produce the content. But to give you an idea, we've just brought on a new client who, it's not targeting Gen Z, but they're going with TikTok, and TikTok is a very new platform for them. And we're going to do, within a month, we'll have produced a full strategy for them that includes all the data, what they should do, who we're targeting, the type of content. And then we're doing a quarterly filming day. So we'll spend one full day getting content that will feed us for a quarter.
Right.
Content to post, and that will be for both their ads and organic. Right. So if you can set aside the time or work with an agency who can do that for you, then, it's, I think the unknown often makes it seem more out of reach and like a bigger deal if you've not got involved in it yet. But I'd say just rip the Band-Aid off, get involved, and it's not as hard as you might think it would be.
So let's talk cost then, because I mean, if people are listening to the show, been around a while, they'll have some understanding of costs involved with advertising on Meta. They'll have some understanding of costs involved in advertising on Google, and the corresponding conversion rates and what Google brings in typically, what Meta's going to bring in typically. How does, say, TikTok and Snapchat, how do those platforms compare, say, with Meta?
A lot cheaper. So, right. Yeah, I mean, I would still probably assign the same budget, but we can do more with the budget. I don't have any specific examples. I'm trying to think, but it's that paid media team that run it, because I would love to give you one of like cost per acquisition on some of the campaigns we're running, but you can definitely get a lot more for your money on TikTok than you can on Meta.
Okay, so definitely worth looking at. And in terms of funnel, right? So everyone talks about, the different stages of that funnel, the awareness section, the, top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. We use a lot on Meta, don't we? TikTok, Snapchat, where is that aiming in terms of, are we brand awareness? You've talked about doing direct conversion ads. Are we doing all of them on these platforms? What's your thinking on that?
Yeah, definitely. It depends on the strategy. So for some people, if it's brand awareness and it's about, we just need to create lots of fun content, be seen by lots of people, we may be looking to raise awareness, but it could be something that is not a physical product to check out. So we want people to know about us, but it's not going to be the place that they're really going to transact. Yeah. Whereas for other companies, it absolutely could be the place that they can transact with that checkout feature on TikTok Shop. So it is going to depend on the business. We would, approach that on a strategy by strategy basis, but it can serve for all funnel.
Right. So all the stages of the funnel are okay on these platforms.
Yes.
Fascinating. Can you... I know that people who listen to the podcast don't always sell physical products, right? Yeah. So they're not always selling torches, for example. Maybe they're selling digital products like a course, how to learn the piano in 30 days or whatever, is going on. Does that... I kind of know the answer before I ask the question, but let me ask it anyway. Digital products on TikTok as well as physical products, I assume we can advertise both?
Absolutely, yeah. We are doing at the moment.
Okay. And would you, I'm kind of curious, Claire, you obviously have your marketing agency, Trio. I'm showing my age. I'm really sorry. But every time I use the word Trio, I've got, there's an old, yeah. I've got that in my head. The old TV commercial. Yeah. Would you advertise or promote your agency on TikTok?
Yeah, we have done a TikTok ad before for us, and we are active on TikTok. So, we haven't been the consistency thing we're struggling at for ourselves. Yeah. But absolutely, and there's a lot of agencies on there producing content, and it comes down to what your strategy is. So for example, for us with social media, we have a specific strategy. Well, we have a motto for social media. If you either want to work with us or for us, that is how someone should feel engaging with us. So we're using it both for engaging with prospective clients, but also engaging with prospective employees. And that's what social media works really well for us.
Right.
So we very rarely have to even advertise a job, because people see us and what we're doing on social media and are approaching us saying, oh my God, you look so fun. Have you got any jobs going? So that for us is a win and is worth the investment. So even if we're not selling something, we're not going, oh, well, did we win a new client off it? Well, no, but we recruited a load of great people off the back of it. So, that's one of our strategies, and it's what it works for.
That's really interesting because, we've spent the whole last, however long, 45 minutes or so, chatting about how to win sales and customers on things like TikTok. But if you're, from the agency point of view, what the thing that you've drawn out there about recruitment using social media, and obviously if you're in recruitment and you're looking to recruit Gen Z, then being on TikTok and Snapchat makes an awful lot of sense. And So that's the flip side of it, actually, isn't it? It helps you bring in great people to your company. You're attracting top talent because of what's going on. So, and again, I hope you don't mind me asking the question. I'm kind of curious how you do it internally. Is it just you because you're the owner? Is it everybody in your social media team has the same password on their phones and everyone's throwing content out? Because I think I've seen e-commerce brands do it in multiple different ways. Do you know what I mean? In terms of yes, we can go batch film some ads and spend a day doing that. But that sort of day-to-day stuff, I'm kind of curious how you do it and how you've seen it done well.
Yeah, it's rarely me. It's most often the Gen Zs in the office who want to create some TikToks. And I'm like, yes, please do. I actually think it should be me more. So, I engage in a lot of content that is like business owners, business founders, marketing leaders sharing insights and thoughts. So ideally what I believe our strategy should be, don't shoot me that we're not doing it, but if anyone else is to be taking advice, I should probably sit down once a month and create loads of short little videos that we could put out throughout the month, sharing industry tips, knowledge, advice. We've spoken about so many insightful things today. I should be sharing all of that on TikTok. Like you've got something to say, share it with people. And then equally still having the side where the team are sharing fun things of what's going on. It doesn't have to be, because you might find you'll see certain TikTok videos that you see time and time again from the same person, like more of the same, because you watched one of their videos and you see the same thing. But then you go on the channel and you realize they've got loads of other content, but that's not showed to you because that's not what you engaged with. So what TikTok's really great for is you can have different streams and themes of content without it going, oh well, but this is for one audience, that's for another. Because if I was putting out a lot of educational stuff, it would serve that to people who would be interested in that. We could still have the team putting up silly stuff and days in the life, things they're doing in the office, and that would be served to the people that liked that type of content. So yeah, in an ideal world, we would create a lot more, but we just put so much effort into our clients' TikToks.
Well saved, well rescued at the end there. It's like I'm the same way. My e-commerce websites are always the last websites I work on because you're so busy doing, and you just sit there and you just think, oh, I should do this on ours. We're too busy doing clients, or we're too busy in cohort.
I do.
It's like they always used to say, isn't it, about your builder? Your builder comes around, don't ever go around their house because it'd be a right mess.
Well, my husband is a builder, so I say that all the time. I'm like, what to say? I mean, I'm living in a house renovation.
Right.
So yeah.
Just got used to it. It's why you spend a lot of time at the office. It's fine. Yeah. Claire, listen, this has been awesome, and I'm sure a lot of people are interested to find out more. And if they want to connect with you, maybe got some questions, maybe even want to talk to you about getting your agency to work for them, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
So to reach out to me direct, you can find me on LinkedIn. It's Claire Daniels. Or if you want to get in touch with Trio, find out more about what it is that we do, the website is trio-media.co.uk.
Trio-media.co.uk. And if you do get hold of Claire, make sure you go Trio.
Yeah.
/Trio.
Some people going, I don't get it.
the same people that go, hang on, you had a phone stuck to the wall. They're still scratching their heads. Sorry, it's very, very different. But listen, Claire, thank you so much for joining us. We will, of course, link to Claire and the website and all the social media stuff in the show notes, which you can get along for free at ecommercepodcast.net. And if you sign up to the newsletter, obviously they will be coming to your inbox automatically to you. Click away, connect with Claire on LinkedIn, on Snapchat, or whatever platforms you prefer. I'm sure Claire would love to talk to you. But yeah, Claire, thank you so much for joining us. It has been an absolute treat. Oh, yes, it has.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, no, it's been great. It's been great. So there you have it. Another fantastic conversation lined up on E-Commerce Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcast from. It helps us reach more people. And of course, you get it all direct to your phone, no doubt, free, automatically. All these things come. Make sure you also check out E-Commerce Cohort. Like I say, some really interesting things come in there, some new developments. I'm going to be sharing those with you over the coming weeks. We're very excited by them. But check out ecommercecohort.com. All that's left to say is thank you, Claire. That's it from me. That's it from Claire. Thank you so much for joining us. Oh, no, I need to do that. You can tell, Claire, I've been away for a little bit because I almost forgot to do the ending. Yeah, just rewind. So in case no one has told you yet today, dear listener, you are awesome. Yes, you are. Created awesome. It's just a burden you have to bear. Claire has to bear it. I've got to bear it. You've got to bear it as well. Whew, phew. Professional to the end. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a fantastic week wherever you are in the world. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.